So in this video, we are going to talk about the industrial revolution. We'll start the lecture with meaning of industrial revolution. That what do we mean by industrial revolution? What do we mean by the term industrialization? Then we will analyze the causes behind industrialization, specifically in Britain. Then we'll have a look on the important inventions that were done during this period, be it spinning jenny, be it dynamite, be it typewriter, etc. Then at the end, we will learn about the impacts of industrial revolution, and then we will conclude the lecture with a differentiation between socialism and capitalism. So now getting started with the meaning of industrial revolution. Industrial revolution means a series of change, not just one invention, not just one change, but a series of change that took place in the method of production. Now, after industrial revolution, handmade goods were replaced by the machine-made goods, and large-scale production took over from cottage and small-scale production. Means that now the textiles were being produced in the factories instead of in the household. Auguste Blanquini, a French socialist, coined this term industrial revolution. So, if someone asks you that who termed the coined industrial revolution, then answer would be Auguste Blanqui. He was a French socialist. Now it is said to have begun from England in 18th century after 1760s. Later it got spread to most of the Western Europe and into the America also. Now coming to the causes of industrial revolution, there were multiple causes. Here we will confine our discussion to the causes of industrial revolution in England because it began from England. First of all, era of peace and stability. After the civil wars, after the Renaissance, in the beginning of 18th century from 1700, there was a period of peace and stability that led to the flourishment of trade and commerce. Then also colonization was at its peak, and colonial market provided a definite market for the European countries for their goods. That means if you have a colony, then you have a definite market to sell your products. Now demand for demand for English goods were now demand for English goods was increasing day by day, so this also boosted the industrial revolution. The most important factor was location and resources. If you look at the river network of England, this is basically the river network of England. All the rivers are somehow connected via canals, and via these canals, if you can see, the goods were transported from one river to another, and ultimately they were transported from one country to another via sea routes. So all the rivers are connected through canals, and all the rivers are connected to sea also. Apart from that, after the urbanization, a lot of lower middle class flocked into the cities that provided cheap labor for the factories and to production. Then, after better means of transport, Britain had a huge network of rivers that directly were connected to the seas. Apart from the river network, they also worked on their railways, they also worked to develop their roadways. So, they had a better means of transport. That is why it became easier for them to grow industrially. Now, use of steam power, when we talk about roadways, when we talk about the railway, the steam power is most crucial, not only in terms of transport but also in terms of factory production. Like a steam power revolutionized the textile production, mining. So that was also one of the factors that contributed in the industrial revolution. And lastly, British government was so pro towards the trade and commerce, and they were constantly opening one banks after another to provide help to the growing entrepreneurs, going factory owners. So this was also the approach of British government to provide them with the circumstances in which they can flourish in the terms of trade and commerce. So these were the causes of industrial revolution. Now we are going to have a look on the important inventions. First was spinning jenny by James Hargreaves. This spinning jenny hugely lessened the load of textile production from the household, and it now can be used in the factories too. So you can say that only after the invention of spinning jenny, the textile production can be done in the factories. Then steam engine by James Watt, earlier it was used in the textile factories and the mining. Then Stephen's rocket by George Stephenson, this provided a boost to railways. Then we have telegraph communication by William Cook and Charles Wheelstone, this also provided a boost to transport and communication. Then we have Alfred Nobel, who was known for his invention of dynamite, one of the most influential industrialist in the period of industrial revolution. Then typewriter was discovered, and photograph technique was also discovered by Joseph Decipher. Imagine the first time someone would have taken the photograph, that they can now catch the memory and make them memorable forever. So how good that would be. Now coming to the impacts of industrial revolution. So we'll start with the economic impact. As an economic impact, two new economic class emerged. First was of capitalist, which in the Latin terms were known as bourgeois. They were the owner of machines and resources. Second were the proletariat, the workers, who used to work in the factories for wages, daily wages. Now there was a rise in laissez-faire policy, free market policy, which was advocated by father of modern economics, Adam Smith. Then emergence of factories also led to urbanization. A lot of lower middle class population flocked to the cities in order to find good jobs, and now the cheap labor was available for the factory owners. Now coming to the social impact, urbanization happened because of industrial revolution, because factories were located in cities, and in the search of new opportunities, more opportunities, people from villages migrated towards city. Child labor became popular because factory owners wanted to pay the employees as less as they can. So child became the most preferable employee because they need to pay very less as compared to male or female. Workers were overworking but underpaid. That was the black reality. Now coming to the political impact, it led to the British imperialism. Now coming to rapid colonization, because of the resources, colonization became very easier and European monopoly was there in the world trade. Now coming to the last topic of this video, after this industrial revolution, a new class emerged that was of capitalists. And to counter them, socialists also emerged. So we will have a look on the ideology of both capitalism and socialism. Capitalism states that private owned factories can be there, means factories can be owned privately, but socialism says that no one can own any factory or resources privately. Everything is of government, everything is for government. Individual is given more importance in the capitalism because resource accumulation is the prime interest of everyone in capitalistic society. But in the socialism, individual is neglected and society is given priority. So society is given importance in the socialism. Excessive production occurs because the motive of profit is always there, but in socialism, production is done according to the needs, considering the welfare of nature. Now coming to the monopolies. So in the capitalism, monopolies exist. Yes, they do exist, but in socialism, no monopolies are there because no private players are there. All the things are being produced by government and for the purpose of state welfare, not for the purpose of profit. So that's all in the lecture. Hope you have enjoyed it. Hope you have understood the concept. Thank you for watching.